You're sitting in the dark, not just night, but a deep, enveloping black that presses in from every corner. There's no lamp above your head, no gentle glow from a phone. Only the cold hush of evening and the flicker of a candle, maybe, if you're lucky. This is what nighttime used to mean. Not long ago, darkness was absolute. The world after sunset belonged to shadows and flame. People lit their homes with oil lamps, animal fat, wax sticks, anything that would burn. A single flame fought against a room's worth of darkness. And it wasn't just dim, it was dangerous. Candles tipped over, curtains caught fire. Gas jets hissed and occasionally exploded. Chimneys filled with soot. Bedrooms smelled like smoke. Flame-based lighting meant that every night was a risk. So the dream formed quietly, across centuries. What if light didn't require burning? What if it could glow, endlessly, cleanly, without smoke or heat or danger? What if the night could be pushed back, not just dimly, but fully, by something safe, something permanent? Before the light bulb, that idea lived in the background, a fantasy. But as the 1800s dawned and sparks began leaping from wires, a strange hope ignited that maybe, just maybe, the future wouldn't need fire, that we could leave the dark without lighting a match. Now, fast forward a few years. You're standing in a crowded workshop. Wires dangle from rafters. Glass bulbs rest like delicate eggs on wooden tables. Somewhere, a coil smolders, briefly, brightly, and then dies. This is the 1800s, and the world is desperate to invent light. Not the flicker of flame, but something steadier, cleaner. A man named Humphrey Davy tries first. In 1802, he connects two charcoal rods to a powerful battery and watches as an arc of electricity jumps between them. The light is harsh, too bright, too brief. You can't put it in a home. But it's a start. They call it the arc lamp. And from that moment on, the race is on. By mid-century, inventors everywhere are chasing the same impossible thing. In Britain, in Russia, in Canada. They try platinum wires, strong but expensive. They experiment with vacuums and gases and heat-resistant glass. Carbonized bamboo, charred paper, spiral filaments. Nothing lasts long. Nothing is stable. But no one stops. Because if someone could trap electricity inside a bulb, if they could make it shine safely, silently, endlessly, they wouldn't just be making a product. They'd be reshaping the human experience. The patent offices are flooded. Dozens of names file claims. The newspapers hint at breakthroughs. And the public watches, half curious, half skeptical. After all, who really believes you can bottle lightning? But someone will get there. Someone will make it work. And when they do, it won't be the cleanest design. Or even the first. It will just be the one that sells. By now, the glow of invention is everywhere. Workshops hum, filaments spark. But the person who gets remembered isn't always the first. It's the loudest, the most relentless, the one who understands that invention is only half the battle. Perception is the rest. Enter Thomas Edison. You've heard the name. Maybe too many times. And yes, he made a bulb. A real one. It glowed. It lasted longer than most, and he showed it off like a magician unveiling the sun. But he didn't invent the light bulb. Not really. He refined it, branded it, filed the right patents, built the right alliances, and then told the story so loudly that the world simply nodded along. In 1879, Edison lit up a small lab in Menlo Park. He invited journalists, investors, anyone who would listen. The bulbs weren't perfect, but they didn't need to be. They needed to seem perfect. The myth of the lone genius was too tempting, especially one wrapped in American ambition. Edison didn't just make a light bulb. He made a system, wires, switches, a plan to electrify entire cities. He didn't sell parts. He sold a future. Patents were filed. Competitors sued. Some were bought out. Others erased. And the public? They didn't question too much, because they wanted to believe. That light could be conjured at will. That darkness could finally lose. And Edison, whatever his shortcuts, offered exactly that. A symbol of modern civilization. A bulb glowing in the night, whispering that the future had finally arrived. You don't notice it at first. Not in a flash, but in a shift. A neighborhood a little brighter. A shop open a little later. A street that no longer needs gas lamps or fire. The electric light is here, not just in the lab, not just in newspapers, but in the world. It changes everything. Night loses its power. Cities begin to stretch their hours. Workdays grow longer. Storefronts gleam. Dinner happens under steady light, not flickering flame. For the first time in human history, darkness is optional. Electricity begins to spread, slowly, unevenly. Wealthy districts are lit first. Factories follow, office buildings, train stations, hotels. It's not just about light, it's about power. Who has it? Who doesn't? There are homes that shine like new stars in the night. And there are homes still in shadow, where candles burn low and oil lamps sputter. The light divides as much as it connects, but the promise remains that someday every home might hum with current, that every night might glow softly, like morning. And for many, it's already here. The light bulb has become more than invention. It's a signal of progress, of wealth, of comfort. A small glowing beacon, fixed to the ceiling, whispering that the future has arrived and it's just getting started. The glow overhead might feel like Edison. That's the name stamped in textbooks, in museums, in history lessons. But history, like light, can cast shadows. And in those shadows are the ones who made it all possible, the forgotten inventors. Like Lewis Latimer, you may not know the name, but you owe him your bulb's longer life. Latimer, a black inventor born to formerly enslaved parents, worked with carbon filaments, making them sturdier, more efficient, and longer lasting. His drawings, his patents, his quiet genius. Without him, Edison's version may have stayed too fragile to matter. But Latimer didn't get the spotlight. He got the sidelines. So did Joseph Swan, the British inventor who actually created a working incandescent bulb around the same time as Edison. In fact, Swan had already lit up a house in Newcastle before Edison's version hit the market. The two eventually reached a legal agreement, but only one of them became a household name. Edison was louder, more connected, better at selling not just the product, but the myth. Then there's Nikola Tesla, not exactly a light bulb inventor, but a visionary who believed in a different kind of current. He championed alternating current, or AC, the very electricity that now runs through your walls. Edison hated it, fought it, but Tesla was right. A C was safer, stronger, smarter. And yet, in most stories about electric light, his name flickers, briefly, before disappearing again. These inventors shaped the glow you live with. They solved the failures, reinforced the filaments, questioned the current. And still, they are footnotes. History likes a clean story, a single hero. But invention doesn't work that way. It's not a light switch. It's a circuit. Winding, collaborative, unfinished. And in that circuit, people like Latimer, Swan, and Tesla carried more than their share of the charge. But even as these unsung minds were perfecting the light itself, a different kind of brilliance was gathering in shadowed boardrooms, not to illuminate, but to limit. The light bulb was never supposed to die so quickly. At first, they lasted, glowed warm and steady for thousands of hours. They were tiny marvels, quiet, reliable, patient. But then something changed. Not in the labs, not in the wiring, but in a boardroom. Picture it. The year is 1924. Representatives from Osram, Philips, General Electric, and other lighting companies sit around a table. Not competitors today, but collaborators. Because there's a problem. Light bulbs are too good, too long-lasting, too dependable. And dependable means unprofitable. A light bulb that lasts 2,500 hours? That's a customer you won't see again for years. But a bulb that lasts 1,000 hours? That's turnover. That's money. So the Phoebus cartel is born. An agreement. A pact. An international conspiracy to make light bulbs worse. On purpose. They test bulbs in labs. They chart the burn times. They find any factory that dares produce a bulb that glows too long. Internal memos track violations of the new limit. Quality becomes sabotage. Progress becomes regression. And it all happens quietly, behind the hum of corporate optimism. No warning label says designed to fail. No commercial admits, we shortened this so you'd buy another. The consumer doesn't question. You twist the bulb in, it lights, it dies. You buy another. And this isn't just about bulbs. This is the moment planned obsolescence takes root. The idea that things shouldn't last, that failure isn't a bug, it's a feature. Light, which once symbolized innovation and hope, becomes a product churned by manipulation. Your ceiling fixture, your bedside lamp, they're part of a system built not for longevity, but for profit. And so, under this cartel, the bulb begins to flicker just a little sooner. Not because it has to, but because someone decided it should. And somewhere, far from the warmth of that gentle glow, the story of artificial light darkens. What they orchestrated in that boardroom didn't just change the industry, it rewrote your expectations. But if you'd lived a century earlier, you might have been surprised. Because before the cartel, before that quiet 1924 handshake, bulbs didn't flicker out so quickly. Some lasted 2,500 hours. Others, even more. Inventors had been racing toward longevity, toward perfection, and they were getting close. Then, overnight, the limit became 1,000 hours. Not by accident, not by necessity, but by design. The Phoebus cartel had engineers test bulbs in laboratories, not to improve them, but to hold them back. Factories received penalties if their products exceeded the hour mark. Internal records tracked brightness and decay with mechanical precision. And slowly, across cities and homes and factories, a new normal settled in. You might have thought your bulb burned out because of wear, heat, age, but it was never a natural end. It was a decision made far from your kitchen, years before you ever flipped the switch. And it wasn't just bulbs. Once this idea took hold, that a product should break, should disappoint, should force a return, it crept into everything. Toasters, radios, irons, televisions, cars. The world began to hum not with permanence, but with expiration, and still the bulb glowed. Just not for long. Just long enough to make you forget it didn't have to be this way. Just long enough to make the flicker feel like fate, not fabrication. You stand beneath the warm light, unaware of the lifespan lie burning above your head. A quiet betrayal. A soft conspiracy. Still glowing. Still watching. Still counting down. But not everyone agreed to the dimming. Not every bulb obeyed. In a firehouse in Livermore, California, there's a light that has burned, almost without pause, for more than 120 years. It hangs modestly, a little dusty, its glow faint but steady. They call it the Centennial Light. It wasn't built by a cartel. It wasn't part of a plan. It was just made well and left alone. A filament shaped by someone who didn't yet know that longevity would one day be a problem. Engineers examined it. Historians whispered about it. It burns not with mystery, but with proof. That longer-lasting bulbs were always possible. That the failure of modern light was never about physics. It was about profit. Here and there, a few rebel voices tried to speak up. An engineer who refused to weaken a filament. A whistleblower who leaked internal memos. A journalist who noticed the pattern. But their words rarely made it to the front page. The glow of the light bulb was so familiar, so comforting, that people didn't want to believe it had been engineered to betray them. Still, the truth pulsed quietly beneath it all. Why didn't eternal bulbs go to market? Why weren't better designs celebrated? Because the world had shifted. It wasn't just about making things. It was about remaking them again and again and again. Planned obsolescence didn't just change the bulb. It rewired our relationship with objects. And as the world grew used to light that failed on purpose, something else was quietly taking hold. A new way for bulbs to outlast their lifespan, not by burning longer, but by watching closer. You started to expect things to break. Phones, appliances, clothing, even relationships sometimes. Disposability became design. Convenience became culture. And it all began with something that could have lasted longer, should have lasted longer, but didn't. So now you know what it could have been, what it once was. And maybe, just maybe, you start to see it not as a symbol of progress, but as a quiet rebellion still waiting to happen. You used to flip a switch. That was it. A circuit completed. A filament glowed. Light. Simple. Private. But now, the bulb listens. In the age of smart homes and sync devices, the light bulb is no longer just a source of illumination. It's a node, a participant in your daily rhythm, your digital echo. The switch still clicks, yes, but it's also in your phone, in your voice, in your schedule. You say, "Good night," and the bulb dims. You say, "Movie time," and the lights adjust themselves. Convenient, seamless, but also observant. Modern bulbs, remember, they track when you turn them on, when you dim them, when you're home, when you're not. They connect to apps, to assistants, to broader systems. They're no longer dumb glass with a wire. They're part of the network, and that network watches. You don't think of your bedroom lamp as a witness. You don't think of your porch light as a data collector. But in the quiet hum of your daily routine, your habits are being recorded. Not maliciously, maybe, but definitely. Light is no longer just about seeing. It's about being seen. Brightness becomes metadata. Schedules become timelines. Motion sensors flicker on and quietly log the time you entered the room. The smart bulb knows when you stayed up too late. It knows if the living room has been dark for 3 days. It knows you forgot to turn off the bathroom light again. And it doesn't forget. The companies say it's for your benefit. Energy efficiency, security, personalized ambiance, your home adapting to you. But in the same breath, the bulb has become a broadcast, a whisper of your presence in a web of invisible listeners. Maybe you don't mind. Maybe you like the convenience. You ask Alexa to turn off the hallway light, and she does. You tell Google to dim the dining room, and it listens. You walk into the kitchen, and the glow greets you. A welcome, a routine, a sense of control. But somewhere, a server knows you came home at 7:42 p.m. last night, that you like your lights at 40% brightness, that you tend to switch off the bedside lamp at exactly 11:08. Light used to protect you from the dark. Now it follows you into it. Still, you sleep beneath its glow. You trust the warmth, the softness, the way it fills a room and asks nothing in return. But now you know it might be asking more than you think. And the glow you once lit to be alone might be the very thing that's never alone again. Not long ago, it used to end. The light, the day, the motion of everything. There was a time when sunset meant pause, when the world tilted softly into darkness and stayed there until dawn. But now, the dark doesn't mean what it used to, because light is always there. Always above you, behind you, in your pocket. Your bathroom mirror glows. Your fridge glows. Your ceiling hums with LEDs that mimic daylight down to the Kelvin. You can work at 2 a.m. as easily as at 2 p.m. You can scroll, shop, answer emails, attend meetings without ever seeing the sun. The light bulb was supposed to be freedom. It broke the limits of time, let you read longer, cook longer, live longer into the night. But freedom turned into routine, then into expectation, now into something quieter, constant, inescapable. This isn't just light anymore. It's artificial day. Our bodies haven't caught up. Circadian rhythms, once governed by firelight and moonrise, now stumble under the glare of hallway sconces and bathroom LEDs. You don't fall asleep when the sun sets. You fall asleep when your screen dims, or when the show ends, or when the lamp, left on for comfort, starts to buzz faintly in the quiet. Scientists talk about melatonin, blue light, sleep hygiene, but the truth is simpler. You're surrounded by glow, by reflection, by the soft insistence of always on. You wake up in the dark, and it feels like morning. You go to bed in the light, and it feels like you're behind. The modern bulb doesn't flicker. It doesn't warm up. It doesn't hum. It's instant, silent, cool, clean, and endless. The idea of night has been replaced by dimmer settings. Darkness isn't a boundary, it's a mode. But in all this convenience, something gets lost. The pause, the reset, the gentle hush that used to follow the final candle being snuffed out. When light was earned, coaxed from flame, from oil, from wire, it carried weight. Now it's a default, an ambient assumption. And yet, light still comforts. It still guides. It still guards the hallway outside your room and lets you find the bathroom at 3 a.m. It still flicks on when the power returns after a storm and lets you exhale with relief. It still glows above the stove, above the porch, above your head, as you say, "I'll just stay up a little longer." The bulb has changed from arc to filament to diode, from yellow to blue to adjustable white, from screw-in to voice-controlled. It is smaller, smarter, cheaper, and still, it watches. Still, it flickers when the power jitters. Still, it marks the passage of night into day, even when the sky disagrees. So now you lie in bed. The room is dim. Somewhere, a bulb is still on, in the hallway, in the kitchen, in a neighbor's window. The world isn't sleeping like it used to. But maybe that's okay. Maybe light isn't just a way to see. Maybe it's a way to feel seen, to feel present, awake, held. It's been more than 100 years, and still, above your head, a bulb glows, quietly, softly, like a promise, like a thought, like the last thing you see before dreams begin.